We have a panel with several people. Most of them, I believe, are remote. We also have two panelists which are missing. One is Nikos Papaioannou, who is the Deputy Minister of Education, and he's excused, but because he was asked by the Prime Minister to have a meeting with the Prime Minister at this time, and so he's not, of course, he didn't have much options. And also, Professor Aristidis Baltas is also missing. He's also an ex-Minister of Education, so actually we are missing one ex and the one present Minister of Education in Greece. But this is not going to make the discussion less interesting, I hope. So let's start. I don't know how we move here. Can we go to the first presentation? Okay. So the title of the panel, the theme of the panel is Novel Education Approaches for the Sustainable Preservation and Revealing of Cultural Heritage. So what we are going to do is we want to finish also by 9 o'clock if possible, so we should be relatively short. So I'm Manos Vravarikos. I'm actually an electrical and computer engineer, so I'm not, of course, an expert in cultural heritage by any means. I'm also the Vice Rector of Research at the National Technical University of Athens, and we are very interested at NTUA in research in this multidisciplinary field, and we are very happy for the successes that our professors, including Tonia Maropoulou, have had in the past in this important field. So a difference of this panel from the previous panels is that here we are going to focus on educational approaches. The previous discussions were mainly research-oriented. So here we are going to talk about education, of course, related to cultural heritage. And two other keywords here are sustainable preservation and revealing. So let me start. Okay. I guess it's not important, it's not necessary in this audience to talk about the importance of cultural heritage, of the identity continuity, the sense of identity and continuity that it creates to everybody, the educational value, the social cohesion that it brings to people, economic benefits, potential economic benefits, in addition to the social and the educational benefits, the advantages that it offers in protecting diversity, which is a very enriching element of human life, and also, of course, cultural heritage can be an inspiration for modern creative art, contemporary art that can be influenced by cultural heritage. So the other keywords are in the theme are sustainable preservation, which means, I guess, that we should preserve the heritage in a way that does not compromise the ability of future generations to enjoy and access the cultural resources. And we want also education that will be revealing, in the sense, I guess, that it has, we want to uncover and make visible aspects of cultural heritage that may be hidden or underappreciated so far. What are the gaps, the difficulties that we have with educational programs in the field of cultural heritage, I would say that one main difficulty comes from the relative lack of recognition of the cultural heritage professions, in the sense that these occupations, the related occupations, are often excluded from statistical surveys, professional classification systems, etc. So the fact that they are not easily recognized by the broad public as something as specific professional profiles, it is often difficult to also create educational paths that are going to create the capabilities that are needed in this profession. So, but one is clear that in order to be able to work in the cultural heritage domain, he or she has to have a great deal of multidisciplinary knowledge. Digital training is also important, and of course skills related to management, entrepreneurship, communication, regulatory framework, and other such issues are also important. So we want to look at novel educational methods applied in cultural heritage. So let's see what are the traditional methods, first of all. I guess current practice is mainly focused on classroom-based instruction through lectures, seminars, discussions, and using textbook learning. A second method, I guess, for a traditional method for education method for cultural heritage is related to museum education through guided tours, exhibition labels, catalogs. Also, we use site visits, field trials. We also, if possible, use oral tradition and storytelling, especially for the intangible aspects of cultural heritage. For the elements that are related to arts, we can use apprenticeships and craft training of new workers that can perform this, can do implementations. We also have, because a lot of the cultural heritage is related to religion, we can also approach education through religious and ritual instruction. And of course, traditional methods of education in cultural heritage include books, magazines, radio, and television, documentaries, and things like that. So what I consider as the limitations of these current approaches are that the limited accessibility of these methods. Not everybody has easy accessibility to a museum because of geographical reasons or economic reasons, etc. Also, all these methods take a passive learning approach, where there is no real interactivity between the teacher and the students. The content also is often static and rigid, difficult to update, and also the narratives of the stories that are being told are usually fixed and not adaptive. There is limited also inclusivity. There is a lack of personalization. Usually the curriculum is of the type of one shoes fits all sizes. And this is, of course, opposite to modern ideas about education. where students should be able to explore topics based on their own needs, their own pace, their own curiosity, etc., and also their community relevance. There is also dependency on expert authority in the sense that knowledge in traditional education methods is delivered in a top-down way from experts to learners, not involving the students and also not involving other probably educators that could be useful, like from the local communities. And a last problem of traditional education is that there is a gap with the younger generations. Younger generations are very much technology literate, and they expect things to be delivered in modern digital ways. And also, it is not always obvious to the students how relevant, in what ways, what the material taught is relevant to their needs. So, what technology could bring into the education domain for cultural heritage is the use, first of all, of digital technologies and multimedia tools. There is a lot of progress these days, both in the hardware and the software of virtual reality and the augmented reality tools, so that the teaching can become interactive and create new worlds that extend or augment the current world. Also, mobile applications and GPS positioning can be very useful. One can imagine students or visitors arriving at some site and receiving, based on their location, receiving information about the different things they see on that site. There is a lot of platforms also, e-learning platforms, and the massive online platforms for online courses and the open access archives. So there are ways in such platforms can teach up to hundreds of thousands of students at a time. Also, there is a lot of interest in serious games as a way to educate in all areas, but this is particularly true in the area of cultural heritage. And also, in addition to serious games, which can be designed based on the needs of different subfields of cultural heritage, one can also rely on gamification, where the students get credits, do things, they get credits for the things they do, and the making education a gaming process. Storytelling, traditional storytelling can also become enriched through multimedia, where you can combine voice, text, video, audio, etc., and create new immersive audio walks. The recent advantage, very rapid advances in AI and machine learning applications are also have to be explored. We all know what are the capabilities now of generative AI and the chatbots. And if these chatbots are fine-tuned, further trained, that is, in the cultural heritage, on cultural heritage material, they can become very much experts in these fields. And finally, social media can also be used in order to engage the students who are now, of course, very much inclined to using such ways. So all these educational approaches that are being offered by current technology can be used to take education in the field of cultural heritage a step further. So this is, I would like to stop here. I have some more slides, but they were meant for the ministers if they came to, but they didn't come. And I would like to give the podium to Professor Elisabetta Zendri.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Valverigos, for your introduction. Very, very interesting. And I agree with you and a lot of things. And thank you, Professor Moropoulou, for the invitation to this panel discussion. Sorry, I'm not with you in attendance due to numerous lectures at my university. I also greet friends and colleagues attending the Congress. May I share my... It's a very short presentation, and I left it in this version because in as presentation probably could have some problems, but in any case, the panel topics is very challenging and stimulating, many possible issues, and my contribution is concentrated in particular on the education of heritage scientists. As a professor of conservation science and member of ICOMOS-CIF, the International Scientific Committee of ICOMOS on Education and Training, I would like to share some of my personal reflection. In 1993, ICOMOS-CIF guidelines for education and training individuated professionals involved in conserving cultural heritage and underlined the importance of integrating university education and professional training courses with local communities and other stakeholders, as underlined also in the Faro Convention. This document is reported at the link here below, and ICOMOS-CIF is currently revising it. And at the moment, CIF is also proposing a global architectural conservation education survey to identify the existing provision for educating and training in architectural conservation globally. We are at the beginning of this survey, and it seems that every country has specific professionals involved in conservation and specific educational paths. The ICOMOS CIF survey will help us understanding the situation at the international level and figure out possible common training courses. We should contribute to it through our representative person in ICOMOS. Going to the education of the heritage scientists in preserving cultural heritage, it needs a diverse skill set that blends scientific expertise, analytical thinking, technical proficiency, and an understanding of historical and cultural context. The question I pose is, are the current skills adequate for today's and future preservation of cultural heritage? Considering a future scenario, the list of new competencies we must develop to address emerging cultural heritage preservation challenges could be very, very long. In particular, sustainable conservation practices must be implemented with knowledge of eco-friendly conservation techniques, understanding of climate resilience and mitigation strategies, application of non-invasive, biodegradable and compatible methodologies in conservation, advance the digital and analytical skills, interdisciplinary collaboration and communication, cybersecurity, data management, adaptability, and continuous learning. The list is really very, very long. A single expert cannot have all these competencies, and we need to understand what real knowledge a heritage scientist must have to implement conservation, following the most recent indication about sustainability, preventing conservation and monitoring. In a recent paper with Professor González Longo of ICOMAS, we proposed a program for a possible international 2-year course in conservation science, where some of the principal topics are suggested and reported in this slide, in this list. The courses are, in part, addressed to cultural issues that are commonly international, such as international legislation, the meaning of cultural heritage, principles of preventive and sustainable conservation, risk assessment and preventive conservation plans, and digital tools. Then, the course is implemented with specific education and training on local material and immaterial cultures and practice to conserve building heritage within the broader cultural heritage and landscape. This proposal is related to a specific professional in heritage science, and the same can be done with other professionals. The possibility of proposing educational paths at international level, recognized by all the countries, requires appropriate organizations responsible for curricula creation, development, delivery, and assessment, and an international agency to maintain quality. In addition, it will be important to make the presence of different professionals at the European level compulsory in the relevant public and private institutions, museums, or foundations. I finish my intervention by thanking again Professor Moropoulou and the Congress Organization Committee for inviting me and proposing this crucial issue. It needs collaboration at the international level and a discussion on the implementation of experts in conservation, like in this panel. Thank you, professors.
Thank you, Professor Zedri. Now I would like to give the floor to Professor Gabriel Favero from Sapienza University, Rome. Yeah.
Thank you very much for the presentation. I wish to thank also Professor Donia Moropoulou for inviting me and the organizing committee. It's always a pleasure to be here in Athens to discuss all these topics on the educational point of view and scientific point of view in this beautiful city. And I come from Sapienza Rome University, and I am also the coordinator of a master degree in science applied of cultural heritage, and also have I am a representative national coordinator of the degrees of science applied to cultural heritage in Italy. And today I would like to share with you and to give my contribution to this panel by sharing with you some of the outcomes of a meeting that a few months ago we have organized in Rome with stakeholders and other teachers from other universities in Italy in view of the possible reform of the curricula on cultural heritage science education. You may know that Italy has a particular situation. In Italy, we have a bachelor degree and a master degree, both dedicated to science applied to cultural heritage. So we have a profile that starts from just from the bachelor degree, 3 years, then 2 years a master degree. We have a strong tradition, but we face some problems, as I will show you during this brief presentation. So we invited the stakeholder, that means museums, politics, the Ministry of Culture of Italy, and big and small institutions. And the goal was to reform the curricula. We are currently in Italy under a reform that has been asked by the Ministry of Education. And in this occasion, we organized this roundtable with several subjects involved in education, but especially with stakeholders. And the key questions that had been asked to the stakeholders were related to the essential skill for the conservation scientists, what they were looking for, and what are the possibilities for the students after the graduation. Do they expect to be employee or freelancer inside the several institutions, and which are the barriers for employment in this field? So generally speaking, the needs of the sector were slightly different, largely different if we consider large institutions or small institutions. Large institutions such as the Colosseum Park, the ICR of Italy, of the CNR, they ask for more specialized figures, more specialized profiles. They ask for advanced diagnostic skills, for skills of environmental monitoring. They ask people that are able to design projects and integrate science. And while in small institutions such as the civic museums, for instance, or some companies, they ask for a multidisciplinary generalist. They ask people able to find budget-friendly solutions. But some other outcomes are common, and in particular, the stakeholders have a focus about the hands-on experience, the practical training, and another key point is multidisciplinarity. There are some years that we speak about multidisciplinarity in this field, obviously, but it's worth to mention, in my opinion, that the stakeholders still ask for multidisciplinarity. That means that our approach in Italy to provide a course that is not for simple chemists or physics or biologists, but it has all the science and some humanities inside the same path, could be the right point to address this need of the stakeholders. And from the technological and sustainable innovations, they ask exactly what we are speaking about in this panel. A more strong formation in digitalization and in artificial intelligence, and also a focus on sustainability, the use of new materials that are compatible with the environment and also with the health of the possible end users. Some critical challenges has been identified in Italy. Maybe you will not be too much surprised. One of the main issues is the bureaucracy. And in particular, in the public sector, there are several problems. For instance, the Central Cataloging Institute of Rome complained that has only one chemist left, and he cannot address all these problems of conservation with just one person. In the Ministry of Culture, in a decade, there is a reduce of 50% of the scientific staff, and this is really a mess in Italy. And sometimes there are also the mismatch in recruitment rules. We have calls from a person that are not the profile that we provide during our education path. Another problem is the funding, the resource gaps. This morning we listen about that funding in Europe will be focused on weapons and war, and this is not good for us, but it is a major concern also for our paths, for our educational program, and also for the possible job of these profiles. Small institutions has no budget for in-house diagnosticians. They rely on freelance activity. They cannot assume a stable person that deals with the diagnostic, and the private sector must diversify into a work that is not related with heritage, and that means that people must know even some topics just outside their main path. There is another concern about the digital and technological divide. Some tools are underused and underknown, especially artificial intelligence, sensor networks that seems to be very important for museums and indoor environments. And also there is a lack in sharing databases, especially in small institutions, and graduates need more training in digital diagnostic. And the final problem is the recognition of the profession, as we heard before, and there is no clear career pathway, at least in Italy. And even if a new Ateco code for conservation scientists exists, but is not widely implemented, there is a low awareness on our profile, and most of all, they are precarious, especially in Italy. The Ministry of Culture has minus 50% of scientific staff due to short-term contracts. So the proposed reforms, that is the main outcome of our meeting with stakeholders, is innovation in the curricula. The proposal is to provide modular courses. So we heard in the previous talk speaking about the personalized curricula. This could be a good idea. Tracks in digital diagnostic, digital heritage, sustainable materials that can be blended in a personalized way. The fieldwork integration, again, the focus is around the possibility to training just on the site, and to strengthen the academia-industry links, especially with joint master program with private labs, collaborating with even small institutions, and to teach also some aspects about the commercialization of diagnostic tools, and most of all, the policy advocacy to make some lobby activity for new professional codes, and also for dedicating funding lines for conservation and heritage scientists. And the future step that has been proposed is to launch a cross-institutional advanced master program designed with employers, focusing on new technologies, artificial intelligence, circular economy again, and accomplishing the international standards. And I would like to thank you very much for your attention, and I open to the final discussion.
Thank you very much, Gabriele. So the next presentation is by Carlo Giovanni Seretti. Sorry? Okay. So Carlo Giovanni is not online. So Anna Lobokovich-Kadz is the next presenter. You made a mistake.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Okay, we have Anna, yes.
So I opened the presentation. I would like to thank, to express that I'm very glad to joint event, a very joint effort, very impressive, and I think I would like to thank everybody, and I was glad to hear and to see Elisabetta Zendri. We communicated in the former project, and Professor Varvarigos, I apologize if I'm not pronouncing correctly your family name.
Actually, very good pronunciation, thanks. But it's Italian, you know Barbarigos.
Okay.
So I come from an island which was under a Venice occupation, so so it was
it is also part of the heritage, very interesting part of the heritage, the origins and family names. My second part of my family name, if we're speaking, my husband's, it comes from the high priest of the temple from Jerusalem. So, and Professor Barbarigos, I strongly support what you said, and it's very interesting and very extremely important for the promotion and of the topic of preservation of cultural heritage, and your deep understanding of this area. In spite, you mentioned electrical engineering, but there's the interdisciplinarity of conservation of cultural heritage is one of the reasons of its complexity, and one of the sources of this. One of the sources of the important contribution that can be made by cultural heritage. Do you see it correctly, or you see incorrectly?
Yeah, thanks. We see it.
You see slide presentation, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I would like to. I would like, first of all, to start from a brief overview of the advantages and also problems of our field. Just a moment. Actually, I have only two sketches of Athens, and both to the presentation. education for
Anna,
CCH.
I see you have a lot of slides. Do you think you can finish in 7-8 minutes?
Now, is it okay now?
Yeah. I'm just saying that I see a lot of slides. Could you finish in 6-7 minutes? Because we are getting late. Thanks.
No, there are no. There are only 10 slides, and
Okay.
all the others are from other presentation.
Perfect.
Don't worry. Do you have a proper view now on the conference of the only presentation slide?
Yes.
Okay. So there are some about 7 slides. Okay, so education for conservation of cultural heritage, and for the sustainable preservation and revealing of cultural heritage, can contribute to diverse types of audience, actually to all types of audience, to experts and laymen who are either they are involved or not involved in conservation of cultural heritage, because it's important, as was mentioned before, to promote the understanding and to enable the improvement of understanding of cultural heritage, its values, and the necessity to preserve it among also general public and youth, and also public officials and policymakers. And I was very glad to hear about this global survey among in architectural education mentioned by Professor Zandri, because architects, I am architect, so I'm permitted to say architects are one of the destroying forces of the cultural heritage. So it's crucial to educate them as well, and to understand the values, the very subtle equilibrium between values and deterioration of cultural heritage, and the extremely important and interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary field of conservation of cultural heritage. So if through education, this many multiple complex issues become understood on different levels, of course, by different types of public. I include also experts who are not conservation experts, so involuntarily and unknowingly they might damage cultural heritage. So it would be very important. Besides, it was in Athens, in the framework of of European project, which I happened to head a bit more than 10 years ago, during a very large dissemination event of our project organized by Professor Marapoulou at National Technical University of Athens, that we heard from education officials about the importance of education for conservation of cultural heritage to all fields of education. And it's because conservation of cultural heritage is an ultimately multi and interdisciplinary field, and through providing access to students on different levels, from school, high school, to secondary, tertiary education, to this field, it actually prepares them for multi and interdisciplinary cooperation in the contemporary world. So it's very important, and this is an important added value of education for conservation of cultural heritage. I actually underline education for conservation of cultural heritage and not heritage, not merely heritage education, because it is more difficult but more powerful level of education for cultural heritage. It also contributes to it enriches research in other areas of science. It provides researchers new horizons and new options, new opportunities for their research. And as I evidenced in a research which I initiated in the framework of cost action, which was headed in innovation of intelligent management of cultural heritage, which was initiated and managed by a professor in electrical engineering from Lisbon, from Nova University of Lisbon, Professor João Martins, and that it also educating scientists from different areas who maybe for the first time or accidentally, we might say, have been included in some research in conservation of cultural heritage. It improves the interdisciplinary research in general in different things, different areas. So, and you might also continue the list. I would like mention just in 2 slides the ELIFE project, abbreviation, or educational approach in cultural heritage, where we address directly the problem of unawareness of general public of cultural heritage and its, of course, of its conservation. And the aim was to bring together 2 groups which could not, on the first glance, communicate, general public and high-level conservation scientists and other experts. And in order to enable this communication and the learning of general public, educating them for understanding cultural heritage, we made this mission impossible even more complicated by aiming to enable general public, after just some short course, to contribute to investigation and documentation of cultural heritage. So in order to do this, we developed educational approach, which was all the other slides, which I am not entering to, which was my earlier presentation today, and it can be found in paper. And to come back to Athens, the sketch of Erechtheion, and the one of the spaces.
Anna, if you could conclude in a minute or so, because
yes, I'm coming to conclusion.
Thank you very much.
So the historical axis from past to future may be vertical, like in this history of the building of National Technical University of Athens, or it might be horizontal, like this part in Israel, structure in Hebron, which existed in the Temple Mount, but no longer exists, so we can study architecture and the complexity of cultural heritage. Coming to Italy, when the value, main value of Villa d'Este, not main, but very important, water is also a destructive agent. And again, Jerusalem and Venice, the deterioration of different types of deterioration on the same type of stone, limestone, though different types of limestone. So the complexity of the issue is also the opening to new opportunities to develop new educational technologies, should I say, as we did in our past project, and we are continue to do now. And I would like to suggest, I think it would be very important after the conclusion of this panel to continue with this forum and Professor Antonio Marapolo to maybe to continue sort of working group for development and initiation of future initiatives. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Anna. I would like now to give the floor to Christiana Pyrasmaki first. Yes? You want to come here? Okay.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I will try to be really very brief. I would like to bring on the attention of this conference an issue, a subject that we practice it with our team, the team of EcoCity, the Aristotle University of Thessaloniki, and the Ministry of Defense, on a project under the title Monuments at Risk. And this has to do with the open civil science. What it is the involvement and the engagement of the civilians. May I have the control to change my slides, please? No? All right. So this has to do with the involvement of the civilians in groups or as individuals in order to be engaged and look after, take care, inspect after training of the nearby monument, the monument that is in their area, in their neighborhood, or in their city. It has to do, the concept encourages the collaboration across academia, industry, public authorities, and of course the civilians. What they do, they take part in research, and they support, they facilitate the evolution of knowledge and the dissemination of knowledge. How they do it? Via innovative methods and manners, and this brings creativity in the floor, trust, transparency in science process, and of course it demands engagement. Our proposal consists of creating an open database for the groups, for the associations, the cultural associations, and also for individuals to be registered, and also to bring documentation on whatever they have worked up to now or what they want to for. What this creates is we create online seminars, and they are going to be on a platform for the future members of this database in order to be trained and educated and be able to go after for these monuments of their area, as we said. Also, they are supported for networking and for interaction. So this knowledge is interacted, they exchange ideas, they exchange experiences, and maybe they exchange visits and groups of work as well. What actually they do, they participate, research, motivate others as well. They recognize and understand the value of the cultural heritage, especially the military, the contemporary military monuments heritage. Multiple beneficial effects are coming from these methods. Scientific knowledge is accessible for simple people that they are not, they don't have the opportunity to be very close to the science. It is inclusive, it's equitable, it's sustainable, and becomes, as a matter of fact, the edge of sustainability. And especially in Greece, with such a vast number of monuments, and with such diversity and spread all over the geographic area of the country. Citizens' responsibility is reinforced by ethical and moral motives, and we actually believe that this is in a way, a part of a movement that is running for the latest years in Europe. It has a title. The name is Adapt a Monument. And as a matter of fact, in Ireland and Sweden, there are communities who have undertaken the everyday care of the monuments of the area. Is this work, is this incident, is this project an easy case? No, because Ministry of Defense is not the most extrovert organization we know. Is it possible to happen? Yes, although the Hellenic society is not the most disciplined society that we do know. But there is a need, there is a gap of training, there is a gap of human resources, and volunteerism and organized training needs to be there in order to unite forces, to unite human personalities and abilities in order to make these monuments, in this case, the military modern monuments, let's say a common wealth for everybody. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Christiana. And now, Katerina Delegu could give the last talk, and maybe also after it summarize the panel's comments. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. So, National Technical University of Athens has something more than 2 decades, a Master of Science, protection of monuments that has supported, and it still supports interdisciplinarity. The orientation in this course is that students need to acquire their skills in problem-based methods and in hands-on experience. So you can see many of them that they are in several monuments that were investigated by our research group. And through many research projects, many diploma, Master of Science thesis, PhD thesis, followed that course and that context of interdisciplinarity and innovation, which we were trying to pursue it. So except from Hagia Sophia, Holy Edicule, Byzantine monastery of Panagia Varnakova. It's, you can see Kesariani Monastery and how we can combine data about materials, building materials and their decay with the geometrical documentation results and data, having a 2D thematic mapping, having 3D models using photogrammetric methods in the Varnakova monastery, creating and developing a holistic digital platform for the Holy Dicule, trying to combine different source data. And another kind of works that our research team has investigated is to integrate the sustainable preservation of cultural heritage assets with the land use management in order to enhance the local identity of the local population, but in a context of in a European context, foster sustainable tourism in order to have a balanced development and to avoid over-tourism, that it is something that is a risk and a problem that both Greece and Italy has. Venice, Florence, Rome, everything. Yes, exactly. So, our ultimate goal is the socio-economic growth and the increase of the community cohesion. So you see some words from the Mani Peninsula, the Simi Island, and all these the above-mentioned projects are actually through the three most emblematic ones, like Hagia Sophia, Holy Dicule, and Varnakova Monastery, are incorporated in this new project, to Evlogon. And besides that, we're adding a new approach here regarding the parameter of the society engagement. In a way, it actually is really interconnected with your own presentation, your own talk previously. So that's what Evlogo will do. But the big question is, which is the best way to transfer all this knowledge, all this acquired know-how to the society, to the professionals, to the students and to the researchers, a structured way of education, a structured course. So in this framework, University of Ioannina as coordinator decided the formation, establishment and operation of an inter-university and interdisciplinary common master program entitled as Manage and Promotion of Cultural Heritage for Sustainable Local and Regional Development, with the cooperation of Sapienza University of Rome, Ca' Foscari University of Venice, and National Technical University of Athens. This is a proposal submitted in the call of the Greek Ministry of Education about internationalization of the educational services of the Greek universities. The results are not yet out. However, all these, we four institutions and universities that we participate, we think that through this multidisciplinary course that actually binds together and integrate adaptive reuse of historical buildings, monuments, and sites, design of routes for cultural and environmental interest, engages the development of the creative industry for the promotion of new products, integrates for the first time, at least in Greece, the protection of maritime heritage, about the traditional shipbuilding and how we can preserve shipbuilding in order to highlight our common cultural heritage in Ionian and Adriatic Sea. And through this course, University of Ioannina, because it includes humanities, socioeconomic sciences, natural sciences, engineering sciences, seems that it could be a very good candidate in order to implement this course and transfer these results, the results of this MSc throughout Greece. Now, as far, can I now summarize the result, to sum up? Okay, what actually we talked about is several approaches about the way that educational course can be configured by Professor Varvarigos. Professor Zentry, in this direction, towards this direction, and agreeing with Professor Favero as far as it concerns the recognition of the profession of conservation scientist, and I have to accept that probably this stands also for Greece, for people that they are material-oriented. We're having such kind of problems like the one that both you and Professor Zentry mentioned. Professor Zentry suggested an international Master of Science. You suggested an inter-institutional under the guidelines of ICOMOS. And then we have a rather creative idea about adopting a monument that you have suggested, if we have the notion of local community and neighborhood, and having some landmarks in the urban matrix, I suppose that this could be something that can be important for actually having the local population be proud of its cultural heritage assets.
Exactly. As a matter of fact, in this case, we are referring on military modern contemporary monuments, so the armed forces are involved in that as well. So adoption, even in that way, is not what we are looking for. What we're looking for is the organized, trained, and engaged civilians who are supporting, and they are there to do the everyday inspection or everyday care that the officials and the authorities cannot do.
So we're not talking about conservation interventions or financing some rehabilitation.
No. They're volunteers. No, they're volunteers, and we are preparing
for maintenance purposes.
Yes, yeah, in a way, yeah.
Okay, but army is a really yes. Okay.
That's it.
Then I mentioned about the proposed international, let's say, Master of Science. Well, at least it would be by international in the terms of that there are Greek and Italian universities. And so the question is still on about which is the direction that not only the bachelor courses and conservation and protection of cultural heritage, but in master courses, which is the orientation that they should actually follow. I think that after all, it is a big requisitive today, big question. And I cannot probably answer that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Katerina, for the presentation and also for summarizing the discussion here. Also, thank you very much for the role that you played in proposing, together with Tonia, this international master between Ioannina and TUA, Sapienza, Venice. I think there is no other area where an international master is more the natural approach to go than the area of cultural heritage. So thanks a lot, and also thanks to the organizers for this full day, for organizing this panel, and also the full day of interesting presentations. Good night.
Thank you, Professor Moropoulos.